So today I'm gonna kind of talk about Clash of Kings and some plot points that you guys kind of forgot. Now, my favorite character is probably Catelyn Stark, because I like seeing her viewpoint, like her POV, compared to like Robb Stark, all the other Bannermen in the North. Like it's an easy way to identify like how things are deteriorating. But typically the main plot points are Jon Snow. There's each plot point kind of like tells you what's happening in certain areas. So Bran tells you about the history of the North, and also kind of tells you about what's going on in the North, how Ramsay Bolton and the Boltons are kind of maneuvering to take over Lady Hornwood's lands. And then there's so many plot points, and then there's the plot point of Theon Greyjoy, who used to be a ward of the Starks. I'm reading this chapter. I'm reading the chapter now, when Cersei is like, oh, not Cersei, Catelyn. Catelyn's really in despair because her sons have reportedly been killed by Theon Greyjoy. But the thing is, when Theon was attacking Winterfell, he took it with a token force, a skeleton crew. And after that, what happened was he didn't actually kill the Stark boys. He passed them off as Stark boys, but he killed the two farm boys and burned their bodies so that nobody would know. Apparently, Dagmar slit their throats. But they didn't really I think it was really Robb Stark's mistakes that kind of led to this position. Because, number one, he let Theon back into the Iron Islands. Which gave Balon Greyjoy a free rein to attack the North. There was no leverage anymore. Well, some people have been telling me on Reddit that apparently Balon was always going to risk rebellion because I'm not really sure though. I'm not certain that he would do that. I'm just really fucking hungry, guys. There's just so many plot points, little pieces that are connected by reading other chapters. Because one chapter you'll learn about, for instance, Arya's somewhere in the Riverlands. Not the Riverlands, but yeah, the Riverlands in Harrenhal. She becomes Roose Bolton's cupbearer towards the end of the show, towards the end of the book. After Stannis failed to take the Blackwater, if you didn't read Arya's chapters before that, you wouldn't know that there's a lot of discontent with Robb's Bannermen. Let me explain the Bannerman procedure to you guys. Towards the end in the Game of Thrones, Robb is riding to the south. He's trying to liberate Riverrun. He manages to do that, and he captures Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, who's like a very powerful warrior. And after that, his bannermen rally to his side and they name him King in the North. King in the North towards the end. And even the Blackwoods and the Brackens agree that he should be the King of the Trident as well. So he becomes King of the Trident and King of the North and the Riverlands. So he's King of the Trident and the Riverlands and the North. And then it's interesting, that, I mean, I think they named him King in the North because Ned Stark was killed, number one. So the lead gold was gone. And they wanted to go back to being kings again because it was the dragons who last ruled them. You'll see that in the books. You'll see that in the show, I mean. In the books, it doesn't really touch on it too much. And then he becomes king in the North. But he was never raised to be king. He was raised to be Lord of Winterfell. But yeah. But then the thing that really pissed me off was how Asha and Balon were treating Theon when he came back to the Iron Islands. It was just so fucked. Even in the first chapter when he meets Aaron Dampere or something, he meets his uncle, who's really, really devout, like religious guy. Like he really worships. Like each house has their own god, or they worship the seven, which is the light of the seven. The warrior, I charge you to be just. The maid, and I charge you to be innocent or something. I don't know, but basically, that's like the seven. Like there's this like there's 7 stars, and then there's like 7 gods or something. I don't know, and then. Basically, in the first chapter, I really didn't like how they're treating Theon because this is a guy that's been a ward of the Starks for like 11 years. He didn't choose to be a ward; he was taken to guarantee Lord Balon Greyjoy's so that he wouldn't cause any more rebellions and problems. So they took Theon Greyjoy as an insurance policy to make sure that Balon behaved, you know. And then he comes back to the Iron Islands after 11 years of being a ward of the Starks. Of course he's gonna forget a lot of the customs. Of course he's gonna become more of a Stark. He's not gonna be really a Greyjoy anymore. And it's like, you're just looking at the guy and you're like, and then it's just like they don't trust him at all. They don't trust him at all, not even a little bit. They dismiss him constantly. Asha makes fun of him and undermines his authority. I mean, she's right. She says, you know nothing and no one, and you expect to prince about the islands. Like, I remember that chapter. And then Theon's like, but I'm their lawful prince. But then the thing is, the Iron Islands, they don't actually do everything the same way as the main islands, which is Westeros. They don't do everything traditional. Like, the father dies, he's the lord. It's a feudal system, so it's a lineage system. Like the feudal lord dies, and then the son takes over, and then so on and so on. But in this scenario, the Iron Islands, only strength matters. There's a king's moot after the king dies, and then everyone chooses the new king. Typically, it would be Theon. He would be the one that they wanted to be the king after Balon Greyjoy. Balon wanted Asha to be king, but to be queen after he dies, because he's king. But he only takes the throne and the kingship after he attacks the north. There's a lot of things I really enjoyed the Greyjoy storyline. Like, that was my favorite at first glance. Second glance, my second favorite is Catelyn and all that stuff. In the north, like the whole north storyline. How Robb Stark goes to the Moatkin, and then he goes all the way down to the Riverlands and captures Jaime Lannister. Like, that was also a pivotal part of the series, and that happens in the Clash of Kings, like in the first couple chapters. It's something you gotta have a lot of patience for this book. Like, you have to have a lot of patience for this book, like reading through it. Like, I'm not really much of a reader. I've listened to the audiobook a few times, so I kind of know what's going on. I've read the book like halfway through, but yeah, the book is so much easier to read than the audiobook. But the thing is, with the audiobook, you don't have to like focus as much on it. Like you can just listen to it while you're going to sleep, while you're cleaning your room, while you're doing something else. But when you're actually reading the book, you give all of your attention to the book, so you remember the plot lines a lot more. So that's something that I've kind of, but I don't have the patience to read. I've realized that now. I don't have the patience to read unless I'm like super interested in the book. I don't have the patience to read that. Perhaps I should learn the patience on how to read books, like, you know. But yeah, so basically, A Clash of Kings is like one of my favorite books to read. Like I'm just telling you guys my favorite parts of the book. I learned to enjoy the John's plotline. Like a lot of the times when you're reading the book, like you're tempted to like you're really enjoying the character in the chapter. For instance, I'm reading a Catelyn chapter, and then it ends towards the end of the chapter, like a cliffhanger or something. And then I really want to know what happened next, and I just skip ahead to the next chapter of that book of the character. But the problem with that is you miss a lot of context in the middle, in between. Like a lot of Arya chapters are going to give you a lot of insight into what's happening with Rob's Bannerman from a different perspective. Yeah. Like you start to see shifts, right? The Freys, for example. You know that the Freys are pissed off and that they find out about I think that happens in A Storm of Swords. Because Arya is betrothed to the Freys and she's the princess that Roma Frey, I'm not sure what his name is, but is that a bee or something behind me? I hope not. Anyways, I need to get some more bread for this soup or whatever I'm eating. Like this is lentils and like some beans or something. I don't know. Beans and lentils. I ran out of like some lentil bread or something. I don't know. So I need to get some more. But the book, like it definitely takes you on a journey. It takes you on a journey where you learn all these new things about people. You realize that the Starks are honorable, but to a fault, right? And you realize the Lannisters are devious and nobody likes them. The Tyrells are scheming, but they always appear on the outside to be friendly and polite and everything. But they hide all of that between political correctness, and then in the behind the scenes, they're trying to outmaneuver the Lannisters with taking Sansa Stark away from King's Landing to send her to High Garden to marry her off to Willis. Like, you see what happens? Like, there's certain plot lines. Even friends are secretly plotting against each other. on the surface, the Tyrells and the Lannisters are friends. They're friendly, yay. But in the background, like they're scheming behind with each other and trying to kill Joffrey and poison. Yeah, okay, sorry, spoiler alert. But apparently, at the end, like towards the end of the books, as you read more and more, I'm gonna reveal something really big now. This is a spoiler. Turns out Littlefinger was behind everything. Everything, like the whole thing. He was the one that was spreading rumors in Marjorie's court about Joffrey's, his behavior and how bad of a person he is. He would give polite courtesy to the Lord and the Lady and to Mace Tyrell and Olenna Tyrell. He would tell them only good things about Joffrey, but he would have his squires and his servants spread rumors about him in the castle towards the other Tyrells, so that would filter itself back to Olenna, and then that was where the fruit, like the seed, was planted to kill Joffrey and see Tommen there instead. Tommen was the brother of Joffrey Baratheon, who was, I don't even know why I'm calling him Joffrey Baratheon, but I guess that's what technically he's a Baratheon, even though, no, not technically. Technically, he's a Baratheon. He's a Baratheon until proven otherwise. He's a Baratheon on paper. But yeah, there's just so many. I think the plotlines start to come to life, like in A Storm of Swords. A Clash of Kings is just kind of like the foundation, but I think A Game of Thrones is also like the concrete, like the very first layers, and then this is like the Clash of Kings is laying the foundation for more, and then A Storm of Swords is when like the story really comes to light. Like there's a lot of tension, a lot of like plot lines have started to be resolved. That's my favorite. That's where I'm at. Like A Feast for Crows, I didn't really read it. Like I skipped around a bit here and there, but A Storm of Swords I've read fully. A Clash of Kings I've listened to fully, and A Game of Thrones I've listened to the audiobook a few times. Yeah, I mean, in A Game of Thrones, you really just... I'm so pissed at Ned. Like, so pissed off at Ned all the time. Like, dude, you're making so many mistakes constantly, like... Constant mistakes. Fuck it out. And then, yeah, that's the chapter that I was telling you guys about, Catelyn. She's talking to Jaime Lannister and she's gonna free him. Because she just heard news that Theon Greyjoy killed her sons, Bran and Rickon, who were literally left behind at Winterfell because it's safe. There must always be a Stark at Winterfell. That's why. But yeah, that's my little review. Peace.